So yeah, please put that in there. And we may have a few of friends, barrier breakers coming on into this meeting at some point. I see a Jen. Is that Dr. Jen Welter that's in? I don't know if that's Dr. Jen or is that Jen Santos? I think it might be Jen Santos. So Vernice Flygirl, the first African-American female combat pilot, is hopefully going to log in with us this morning. And hopefully as well, Dr. Jen Welter, the first woman to coach in men's professional football. They're both attempting to get in. So if they get in, we'll get say a hey to them and also just thank them for stepping out and going through and taking the first seats at the table for women in professional men's sports and being able to coach. So hopefully they'll be able to log in and get in on that. So yeah, as everyone's posting their professions, where they're at, we've got Rhode Island, San Diego, let's see, Florida, let's see, Talita. Hey, Talita, she's in Houston, Texas, but also from South Africa. She had a business there for years, so awesome. We got Therese from Belgium, Tara's in Canada. Let's see, who else? So we've got people from all over the country and all over the world. It's so cool. If I didn't read your name, there's a lot of text in here. We'll got it recorded so we can send it out to everyone. So, we're going to go ahead and get started. I have a couple women who have agreed to be facilitators and help start our discussion about a seat at the table. And I think this is so prevalent today in our time because as we are continuing to grow in society and break into new areas and gain our seat at the table, I think it's so important right now that we as women join together. And we help pave that way together and we help each other get to that seat together. When I started out my career, it was not like that. It was very dog eat dog. And the women that I really hoped would support me and be part of that journey didn't want to have anything to do with it. So I'm really excited to be with all of you today and get a chance to first in our smaller meeting, talk about this, but then also go into a meeting. The thought of being in a meeting with 150,000 women around the world is just super awesome. And so today we're going to talk in our smaller meeting about some of these topics. There's Vernice Flygirl. Hey, Vernice, I just saw your picture pop up. Hey guys, this is Vernice. And Vernice, I was bragging about you a little bit. I was saying thank you to you for helping us start taking that seat at the table, being the first African-American female combat pilot to jump in here. So Vernice is very humble, but I'm going to brag on you a little bit anyways, girl. So she's here in the meeting. I think you're in San Francisco right now, right?
Yes, I landed 2.5 hours ago.
She's tired, folks. So thanks for jumping in the meeting. So we're going to start out with our first facilitator. Two of them, which is Martha and Allie, met both, Allie through She Talks, our She Talks we do around the nation. And Martha, Cheryl introduced me to Martha, right? And so Martha and I met up through Cheryl, Dr. Cheryl, on my screen, Dr. Cheryl's right next to Martha, but I can't tell if on your other screens she's next to her. So once again, just really connecting through each other. So they're going to facilitate the first topic we're doing called Reflecting the Challenges of Women Today. And ladies, you can unmute yourselves and I'll let you take that away.
Julie, before you do, have you gone live on Facebook yet?
Are we waiting to do that, to go live on Facebook, or? You're muted.
Yeah, I'm muted, Julie.
Sorry, go ahead and go. I've got that one.
Okay. All right. Martha, do you want to go? You want me to go? How you want to do this?
Well, listen, if you're ready to start, that's great. I'm happy to as well. We're both excited about our seat at the table together. So I'm thrilled either way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what's been on my, heart, especially after Vernice just entered the room and Julie was talking about, different occupations or different industries that women haven't typically had a seat at. my daughter is going to be graduating soon, and she's going into athletic trainer. So that's very few women going into that profession, and I worry for her because I know that the road's going to be harder for her than it is for the men in the same position. My husband's a trainer as well. He was with the Giants, the Reds, the Marlins, that kind of, but it's a whole different story. Women don't get hired in that industry as much. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what other industries do you feel that women have a harder time breaking into and flourishing in, besides professional sports, which is what I'm dealing with right now.
That's a really big one. I have a lot of experience in the financial industry, and I definitely see women very much underrepresented in my industry, especially when it comes to being an independent. So, I started my career in my early 20s as an independent, and so it meant that I didn't have the financial backing or name of a larger, financial company or group of companies. And so I found that when I entered that, certainly there were a lot of roadblocks, right, that prevented us as women from taking our seat at the table and owning our voice in the way that we wanted to express it. And so I found, and I still find today, that in the independent stream, we are dramatically underrepresented. And so, what I find is that we've got to address those barriers to entry to really break those down so that the next generations can start their career in the way they want to start their career. That was a really big one for me.
Yes, absolutely. Personally, I've been an entrepreneur most of my life, so I haven't had to deal a lot with like headbutting the system but definitely I've faced, I'm sure all of us have, different kinds of inequalities in the world and whatever. So I'm interested to see if anyone else in the panel has any other input on things that they've experienced or different industries they feel that there's a lot of whatever. Yes, Cheryl. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, it's so nice to see you. Hang on. Let's put up my mute. Julie and I are doing some interesting tech this morning. I'm a college professor in aeronautics, and I teach in the aviation industry. And let me tell you how Bernice is clapping in there. That is such a male-dominated industry. And I just taught a class all men. First time in 10 years, but it's predominantly, I'd say 80% men. And not that it's a bad thing, ladies, but we do want to have our seat at the table. And it does get to be very frustrating for those women trying to break those barriers and be able to, particularly in specific tech fields, engineering, physics, all of the predominantly male dominated, that they're struggling a little bit and they need mentors. So it is really important to us to be able to step up and not just be there, but step up to help them get there faster.
So important, mentorship. Linda, yes. Hi.
Hi there. I just rolled out of bed, sorry. But it's wonderful to be here. And just, when you're talking about that, it makes me reflect on being in the news business and how men would always, predominantly think that they were smarter or they knew more. And so if I sat beside them and we co-hosted a show, it would take a longer time for them to realize that I knew what I was talking about. And I wish it didn't take so long, because I knew what I was talking about and I knew that I was an intelligent person, but they'd say, oh, I got this breaking news, I got this, so there would be a lot of that and a lot of just wanting us to be quiet and kind of be the co-host rather than having this equality. And so, sitting at that table, it was pretty difficult, but then eventually it would come around, but it shouldn't take that long.
Yeah, absolutely. Gosh, I'm not sure how you handle that on camera without like, I don't know, saying some choice words.
Ali, are you okay if I interject with a quick question for Linda?
Yeah.
Linda, I'm wondering, I find in the financial industry, as a woman in the financial industry, I can very much get boxed in by my male colleagues, that if I'm a woman in the financial industry, I must act in a certain way. Because I'm a woman means I manage assets in a certain way, I have recommendations in a certain way. And so I'm defined as that. Do you find that in media, you are, kind of boxed in as a woman, that you must be a certain style or conduct yourself in a specific manner?
Oh, absolutely. I think there's such a double standard when you look at men who can look like Jabba to the Hutt and still be on the air. And then women have to always look buttoned up. They're always scrutinizing their hair and their face. Don't change this and don't do that. But you have to always look so much better. And then you look over at your male counterpart and he's wearing more makeup than you are. And you think, this just isn't fair. And they were, for me, they always made more money.
Wow.
So,
And
and I probably shouldn't have known that, but I did.
And ladies, just interject because my job is to keep our conversation moving. First, thank you, Ali and Martha. Thank you for sharing and being facilitators. And thank you for everyone who's shared. And it's really cool. We have some really women in really cool industries. And I see Dr. Jen made it into the meeting. Hey, Dr. Jen. I know it's super early.
Hey, Jen.
She's on the West Coast too right now, right? Are you still in West Coast, Jen? Yeah. So we'll ask you questions towards the end so you have time to wake up. So, but thanks for being in on here. So our next facilitator, which is Therese Baptiste, and I'm going to brag on her a little bit. She is a former UN representative and also Foreign Minister of Health for Trinidad and Tobago. As we know, working in politics is tough, and it is even more tough as a woman. And she is also a professor currently in Belgium right now. And of course, she has a resume that is super long and impressive. And I'm just thankful to have someone from the political arena, very difficult political arena and international arena here with us today to help facilitate our next step of the conversation.
Okay, thank you so much, Julie. But Linda, I want to continue what you were saying, first of all, about the dress code, because that was my thing when I was a Minister of Health. They actually, after my first month, actually ran an article about my different dress that I had on and what I had on and what I wore twice and what I didn't wear. And once I was all over the news because I made a mistake and I wore a skirt above my knee, and that was scandalous. So yeah, it's all there. And men can wear the same suit or just change their tie. Okay, like my focus is putting focus on the future, right? So being the little academic, you're seeing the slides that I had there to lead our talk onwards, right? And of course, I have us going up a ladder. And we have 3 questions I've been given by Julie to deal with you all. So I'm going to go through these 3 questions one at a time, and we will look through them. The first one she asked was, in your personal life, what are some ways you bring more women to the table, and how can we better support each other? And to start that off, what I want to remind you all is that the pandemic is still taking a toll on us, especially women, as you agree. And we are more burned out now than we were a year ago. And 1 in 3 women say they're even thinking of downshifting their career or leaving their workforce. And that's significant. And they say 4 in 10 women have considered leaving their company. And that's a problem because, as I mentioned, we're talking about that broken wrong. And we are moving up and then suddenly like, I'm out of here. And we have to look at ways to support each other so that does not happen. So I really would like to know, I'm going ahead of myself. I would really like to know what you all would like to see. How do you think we can support each other? Stop people from wanting to switch jobs just when they could make that step upwards. Yes, Fly Girl?
No. You can call me V. All my friends call me V. I appreciate you being here in your leadership in the space and representation for women, first of all, and all you wonderful, amazing faces. It's crazy. I was talking to a friend last night, 32-year-old bald Italian white guy, and we're doing some stuff together, and he's absolutely brilliant, amazing, and some things. And it was like, well, Bernice, if like you're getting this group of women together, like what kind of women do you want to get together? Because he ran into this other woman and she wanted to be a speaker and all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, but that's just not my focus. I want to help people do their thing in the world. And he's like, well, what's that? I'm like, well, be gutsy. He's like, yeah, but nobody's looking for gutsy. Like, what's the word that, what are women saying they want? And some are and some aren't. But what would it look like for women in our world, right? If we stepped into, and I chose the word, I said power, right? Like Brene Brown says bold, or John C. Maxwell is leadership, or like you can look at different people and like there's this word associated with them. I was like, power, women in tech, and not even women in tech, women in male dominated industries who have a message to share and want to share it powerfully, right? With power around the world. And he said, well, to what end? Like, so what's that going to give them? And I was like, success. And he was like, yeah, but what is success? It's like, well, you get what you really want in life. He's like, yeah, but what does that lead to? And I said, fulfillment. Like, who doesn't want purpose and fulfillment, right? So women in male dominated industries who have a message to share and want to stand in their power and be fulfilled and help each other be fulfilled, right? So all that to say, support. And I hear, several women, on, as we're having this conversation, that, yeah, we can see all the obstacles. And my main question was this one: how can we better support each other? How can we help each other turn the obstacles into the opportunities? And what kind of women do I personally want to be around? And that's women who have ambition, tenacity, grit. We've been into male dominated fields. I grew up with 3 brothers, played women's football, was like a Marine and a cop. And I'm an entrepreneur. I'm still in a male dominated field, right?
Yeah, it is totally. But next time he asks you, what I would say is the motto I use. I said, being passionate about what you do is the key to success, and using that passion to help others is the key to happiness. And that's what we need to do. Take our passion and make others people happier. Anyone has any other things to say on that particular question? Because I've been given 3 questions I must get through by Julie, right? So any other person has any other things to say on this question? Or am I allowed to move to question number 2? Okay. Yes, Alex. Yes, Amanda.
Martha was raising her hand.
Oh, I didn't see Marta. Yes, Marta.
No, it's no worries. I thought, how can we better support each other? My quick thought on that was encouraging our voice, our self-expression, that what makes us different is our asset, not our liability. And I see that all the time in the work that I do. And I'm hearing that so much here in our conversation. So I know we're moving on. That was the one point I wanted to
okay, and actually we're moving on exactly to that aspect, okay? Because yeah, it's all following. We go to what are the 3 action steps we can commit to advance gender equality. And it's important we do that, because despite the small gains in the pipeline, women are still underrepresented. Of course, the corporate ladder, and of course, academic in me, I have to tell you where that came from, so you can go find it out. Right? We see there, if we look at every step, and of course, I mentioned women of color, we see white men, yes, men of color, women of color, white women. Look at that. We still, in all aspects, again, even our men as well, in terms of color, are not moving up. Okay, so I do say I'm all for women, but I still have to go in my little corner and say, don't forget us, the WOCs, right? We need to get there. And I always say it's going to be work, and that's WOC, walk, for us to get up there. But we're going to do it. And again, to advance gender equality, they've talked about until women move up to management at the same rate as men and represented. Do you know that for every 100 men promoted to the first level, the number of women promoted, they show you here, and that is not acceptable. So what do we do to advance gender equality? Come on, let's hear. We need some action points.
Cheryl's raising her hand.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, Julie and I changed tech here a little bit. Here's what I think it is I think we need courage. Many of us women, particularly in academic, we do not like to speak up because we know the potential consequences. And that is very difficult, that we nod and smile and we try and make sure that we can stay in the game, which is important. So stay in the game, but find your voice. We have to have the courage to risk it. Not everyone's going to like what we have to say, but we need to have the courage in how we say it to be able to have that seat and not just be at the table, but to speak at the table. And for me, that's the passionate part. We need to be visible and have our voices heard, not just seen.
And I'm going to call on someone because she's trying to keep quiet. Tanya, she asked my colleague, and she will know that how picky, and I'm considered to be pushy, but I'm not pushy. I just say what I have to say. That's my logic. Like I tell people, I've been there, done that, and I have to say what I have to say, or else I might as well stay home and be a trophy wife. Tanya, do you have anything to say?
No, I was just going to agree with what was being said, namely that, I mean, it's up to all of us to actually support colleagues that we know are very competent and able to take and go for that management position, but might feel excluded because it's a male-dominated world, and might not want to take their seat. I think they need our support. That's it.
Anyone else? Come on, people.
Davina?
Yes, Marta. And then Davina. Yes.
So, and adding to Cheryl's point that I loved so much, when we do stand up, when we do own our own voice, and Therese, I don't think you're pushing at all. I think owning your voice is such a beautiful power, and it's inspiring. Right. And so I think that when we do that kind of thing, celebrating one another is really great, because when we're celebrating one another, we're amplifying our voice. When we're amplifying our voice, we're inspiring more people. So sharing each other's successes, I think, is a really great thing.
Davina, and then Charmaine.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, so can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Even
though we envy your pool.
Perfect. Yeah. I know, well, it coincided with a business trip over here, so I'm glad I could join, and thank you so much for the invite, Julie. So one of it's to add on to some of the points already raised, is that actually what we can do is actually about paving the way for others and supporting. And so when we get a seat at the table, it's actually bringing others with us. So we're not there, we're actually paving the way, we're inspiring, and actually being able to mentor those who come behind us, who might be younger, or, you know, and actually supporting them. And I've had experience where, and I think especially in maybe male-dominated industries, or I was from commercial, so it was already a competitive place, but actually what I have noticed is that actually sometimes women don't support other women in the same industry because it's competitive. And actually the way that we can do it is actually, rather than competing with each other, is actually being more collaborative, supporting each other and championing each other as a way to really get more seats at the table. So that's just
And
what
I would
I'd like
say,
to add.
can I have an amen with that one? And someone else, and then we're going to go to Linda. Okay, yeah, because I know, yeah. Someone else had their hand up and I had called their name. Was it Marta? Was it you? Okay.
Charmaine.
It was Charmaine. You're right.
So,
Charmaine and then Linda.
So, Davina, I hope I pronounced your name correctly, really spoke on what I was going to mention, which is collaboration, strategic partnerships to collaborate with, especially in the space of entrepreneurship. I just recently, I'm not sure if you all are aware of the Bow Collective, but the Bow Collective is a group of, is an organization of sisterhood of the nation's top 1% of Black entrepreneurs. And so they are, you know, we don't have to do this alone, right? I don't have all of the wherewithal to be great in my space. So I bring people that are great with regards to what I need in order to be overall great. So I think collaborative partnerships is what's going to help advance and as we are lifting each other up. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Great morning.
Thank you. Thank you. And Linda?
Just really quick, thinking of those thoughts is in working together and in the industry I was in, it was so competitive and everybody was, you know, just watching other women. And I always thought, I am going to do this on my own merit. And if this younger person, I'm going to help mentor her. If she comes in, she's nervous and I say, I'm going to help you. And people say, why are you helping her? Because if I'm not the right person and she is, then that's okay, because I'll do something. I just never stepped on other people the way I saw some women do. And I thought that's just not the way to do it. And even years later, they would come up and say, thank you so much for being so kind in an industry where women often are not. And I just think it's really important what everyone's saying about just raising other women up, just constantly raising them up, because that helps us find our own strength.
Thank you so much. And that goes to the next question. How do we engage with young women early in their lives? And really what I want to point you all to is there is something that came out by UNFPA on empowering young women to lead change. And it talks about the same thing you say, mentorship. And that is very important. That's something Tanya and I do at our school. We are mentors. All the students are engaged in mentorship and coaching to help them get there. And I always tell people, if you can't train someone to replace you, then you're not good at your job. Okay, you should not be afraid. And my worst bosses were also females. So let me start on my prime minister. Okay, we talk about education is also a method, and going where they are. Go to where they are, go to the Instagram, go to the YouTube where they are. And this empowering young women to lead change just came out since 2006, but it's still valid. And it's something, a tool that we should use. And I'll pass it on to Julie, and Julie can pass the PDF on. And what it really tells us is the key principles are to respect, consult, peer learning, openness, experience, and my favorite, fun. Because I believe everything we do, once we have fun in doing it, it's going to transfer. Because I'm sure, Fly Girl, when you're doing that commando flying, you're enjoying it, okay? And that's where the passion comes in doing what we do. And I'm sure we are all passionate. I would like to hear your feedback. How are we going to engage them earlier in their lives?
Therese, I want to just ask Dr. Jen. Dr. Jen, if you're awake yet, she does all sorts of camps for young women because she is trying to pave the way for women into football. So Jen, I'd love your thoughts as well on how we engage youth, because I know you're doing it day in and day out with your programs.
Yeah, good morning. No, I'm awake. Already handling stuff on the East Coast, but I think one of the things that's really important, ladies, is not all the seats are created at a table that's already there. And I think that that's one of the things that's really important. It's, you know, if you look at a table that someone else built, then yeah, okay, you might be pulling up a chair or looking at sitting on it if we go with the metaphor. But when you're doing something that's disruptive, sometimes it's easier to create it and set the standards as opposed to trying to fit into something that's been established and wasn't necessarily created with you in mind or with somebody who looks like you in mind. And when we talk about youth, that's where the representation becomes so very important. A lot of the things that I dedicate my time in today, and yes, it's very fun because I practice serious non-adulting, but it's, you know, those girls need to see an example so that they have that spark of a dream, which allows them to see themselves in a world in a way that maybe wasn't there for us. And so I find that the bravery to go on or to push further is not for myself. It's for those that I'm pushing the door open for. Or as I like to say, being a great lead blocker, so that there will be opportunities for those that come behind me that weren't there when I was there. And the youth is a big part of that, because that's where we also see, you know, I'll tell you, you take some of the toughest guys out there who may not get it for someone who is his own age, and then you give him the experience through the lens of the world he wants his daughter to see. And you tend to open a lot of minds and a lot of hearts in ways that maybe the world had taught them it wasn't that way. But when you give them the perspective of what they want their daughter to see, and if they want their daughter to go through what you're going through, there's a whole lot more empathy there.
Thank you, Jen. And well, that's all, folks, for me. I think I have done my part. What I'm saying to you is that employees with women managers, they have found out, are more likely to say that their manager has supported them. So we women who are there are doing a great job, and we need to continue. Linda, I will drop the PDF for this in the chat so you can have it. That's not a problem. And what I'm saying is that we can do it. A small group of thoughtful people can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. And that was said by Margaret Mead. It's in that same booklet. So let's do this. Passing it back to Julie.
Yeah, thank you so much, Therese. I just feel so blessed to have so many women around the world on this call with so much experience and and having that vision. Honestly, I know all of you have, and I'm not trying to dish on women, but I think we support each other the least. And I think we got to change that. And I think we can change that with what we're doing. So next I have Karen and New Yorka. First, both veterans from the military, which I'm very excited for them to be representing our veterans. Karen and I actually went to college together and have known each other for 20 plus years. I'm now dating us.
Yes.
I'm excited for two of our veterans to now take the next discussion, as women veterans around the world and in the military are also another place where they need a seat at the table. So I'll let you guys take that.
Thanks. So I'm happy to be here with all of you and host this next portion with New Yorka. And we have some other vets. I'm a Marine Corps veteran. New Yorka is Army. And we have Charmin, who's Navy, and Fly Girl is Marine. So I don't know if we have Air Force on here, we'd have like the whole group. I don't know. So it's a pleasure to be here with you. So New York and I want to actually give everybody a chance to participate on this section. And we're going to talk about the trailblazing women from either past or present who you would save a seat for at the table with. And if you'd kind of post that in the chat, and we can kind of get a good discussion going here, what that kind of means to you, and get a theme maybe in the room from that. So it could be past or present. And New Yorka, any thoughts on who your trailblazing woman would be?
There's so many. First, I'm happy to be
I'm putting
here.
you on the spot. What's that?
I was saying that I'm very happy to be here representing the military woman. And throughout history, there's so many women that are being trailblazers that inspire me, from Joan of Arc to Queen Elizabeth to Margaret Thatcher to today's women that are breaking barriers every single day. Michelle Obama, yourself and Julie, everybody that just break one, it raises the bar a little bit more. It just opens the way to other women to keep pushing and to keep trying and to keep breaking that glass ceiling, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm seeing some really great names and themes kind of coming through in the chat. Some that you mentioned, New York, Michelle Obama, seeing Maya Angelou, and Amelia Antonetti. Yeah, we've done some work with her recently. Yeah, people talking about their mother. That's very important. Their first CEO and mentor. Charmin, do you want to give us more insight on your pick there?
Wow, you would have to pick me.
Of course I'm gonna pick you.
It's all about representation, and the impact that Ketanji Brown Jackson is making, even as she's sitting going through the hearing, is so, it's amazing to see her be so poised. And so coming from, growing up in my household, I always was told, you can't wear your emotions on your sleeve. And I know that she's going through a lot of emotions as she's being questioned, but she is so poised. Another thing is that the reason why is that she in order to be where she's at, she had to be exceptionally well in school, exceptionally well in what she's doing, exceptionally well at being consistent in what she did. And so I just see that as I'm watching these hearings, and it just, it's very empowering, it's very inspirational, especially the impact that she will have on the community, especially the little Miss Ma'ams, right? All races.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
it just, yeah. So
And so we're talking about the first Black female to be nominated, right, for Supreme Court Justice in the United States, right? And is it Tanya? Is that how you pronounce your name? Your pick there? A novelist, feminist?
Right. I adore reading, and I think that having strong women in literature as well, and having strong characters depicted in novels could also help us in getting the idea and the message across that women should take their seat at the table. That's why I picked a novelist, but also because of my personal love for her novels and her journey. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, I'm going to pick on V, because you got to tell us about this pick.
So Phyllis Newhouse, I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with her, but she just launched a SPAC last year, Special Purpose Acquisition Company. And she's the first woman CEO of a SPAC. But when she created this SPAC, she decided she wasn't going to have any guys involved with it. And it was going to be all women and women of color and internationally, right? Now, this is after a 22-year military career where she retired as a sergeant major, got out, started her own cybersecurity company, multi-million-dollar company, and then decided, I don't want a seat at the table. I'm going to build my own table. The guys don't want us in. Okay, I'm going to do it. And, I'm lucky enough to just count her as a friend and a colleague. And she blows my mind. And you know how you have those bracelets, WWJD, what would Jesus do? Like, I created one, WWPD, what would Phyllis do? I've seen her make grown men cry when it comes to negotiations and creating amazingness, right? So when she is and she created a foundation with Viola Davis called Shoulder Up. And the whole concept of Shoulder Up is helping other women up, because honestly, it's our responsibility. And I totally believe this. It's our responsibility to help each other, to be there for each other, to open doors for each other, to help each other create revenue and relationships, right? So if we're not here to do that, then what are we doing? So that's
Absolutely. No, thank you for that. And then Ali, you're mentioning, did we get the name on that? I know Julie always talks about the woman who, I don't think she invented x-rays, was it? No, she
Alice. She found out
Alice.
that x-rays were giving kids cancer. So yeah, Alice. I'm forgetting her last name right now because it's very early in the morning. But yeah, but Alice, yeah, she's phenomenal. Right. 25 years she fought to show that children were getting childhood cancer from when mothers were getting x-rayed when they were pregnant. And for 25 years, they invalidated her studies because she was a woman. And she fought until they basically now, every time you get an x-ray, ladies, when they say, are you possibly pregnant? It's because they want to make sure they're not x-raying any children. So it was giving them like 95% of them were getting cancer and dying. So that's, yeah, Ali, I love her too. Thanks for reminding me about her.
I see Tanya said it's Alice Stewart.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Alice Stewart.
Than I am right now.
Okay, New York, putting some of her favorite writers in there. And I don't want to butcher the name. Go ahead, New Yorker.
Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz. She was a revolutionary in her time. She was questioning the place of a woman when women were allowed to do that. So I always admire her, and I still read her poems. So.
Yeah. And I'll take a moment to brag on New York. It's quite the entrepreneur over here. And she is very humble as well. So it's not Amore umbrellas, but that's what I think of with Amore, right? But she has beautiful umbrellas in the shape of hearts, and you got to check them out. They're very beautiful pieces of art.
Thank you.
And also New Yorker, we didn't mention she's from Cuba as well. So adding to our list of women from around the world. So very cool.
Yeah. So I think, did I get everybody's in there? I believe I did. So how about I don't want to call you out, but I think I want for some context around Jen, Dr. Jen Welter, because I don't know if we gave her the same intro, is pretty amazing as well. She's a trailblazer as well that we have with us. Julie, did you have the intro for Jen, Dr. Jen?
Well, we did it before you came in, Jen, but
Oh, okay.
but I met Dr. Jen. Gosh, I can't remember how we met Jen. Maybe we just met on LinkedIn. But I've got a chance to attend a couple of her Gridiron Girl football camps. My daughter got to participate in it. She even let my son at the time, who was maybe like 6, run around with a football. We did one out here, but she does amazing leadership camps for young girls. All the way up to high school. And of course, Jen was one of the first women to coach in the NFL. And then also and forgive me, Jen, I'm forgetting the name of the team you played on. So you'll have to respond to us. And Jen, okay, if you guys have met me, I'm like 6 foot tall. Jen are you 5'2"? Maybe 5'2", but she walks a good 6'5", ladies. She would take me down any day. So she is trailblazing in an industry that is rough and tough. And I love your heart, man, because I have a daughter. So as you said, Jen, we look at this through the eyes of our daughters and where they want to go. And so it was a really cool thing for my daughter to get to go play football. And it was awesome. And of course, Jen is also multi-talented as a doctor, and she's written books. And I mean, the list goes on and on. I know you guys are humble, but I'm always thankful that you blazed that trail for us, because that is and still is a really tough trail. I know for that. So, but if we could, I know a great question that you had, Karen, and I don't want to jump your guys' spot, but it said, what are some action steps that we can all commit to advance gender equality in our community? I think it'd be great to throw some of those out right now. I mean, all of us work in different industries. All of us are trailblazing, whether it's academia or finance or news, or being just an entrepreneur ourselves, being in politics, what can we do? Because I'm sure there's some universal things that we as a group can come up with. So feel free to shout them out, put them in the chat about what are some steps that we can commit to, because I think we need to commit to something today of what we're going to do to make change. Because if we commit to it, knowing all these women on here, more than likely it's going to happen.
All right, I'll go. So what I decided to do, I was tired of hearing women say they're brilliant, but they're tired. They're tired of doing it by themselves. I was tired of doing it by myself. So I created a mastermind, and I decided to launch it during Women's History Month, which was this month. And that's what I did. So I'm getting 10 to 12 women. It's an intimate group of women I know that actually want to do something, like for real, are serious about it. And it has Phyllis Newhouse and some other Buds colleagues that have influence and are going to blow stuff up. If you're interested in doing something like that with me and being part of this one to create some amazing badass shit, then let me know. And I'll put the link to it in the message. So that's what I've personally done, and I'm excited. And Jen, you rock, you freaking rock.
So I'll go next. I've been part of a collaborative book called The 8 Qualities of an Exceptional Black Woman, where I write about the 9 concepts of greatness. So this Friday, I'll be speaking on those 9 concepts on a free platform. I'll also put the link in here as well. And just being a mentor, a sponsor to elevate those women that I surround myself with. Again, it's all about collaborations. So that is what I'm doing. Oh, I'm also a part of a nonprofit for Little Miss Ma'ams too, called Vision Lead Grow, where little girls with dreams become women with visions. And it's an entrepreneurship program. And we're doing some great and awesome things in that space as well.
Charmin, if you can post those links in the chat, That'd be awesome, especially any of you, if you're not wanting to talk because you're shy, oops, post those links in the chat for us.
Okay. Julie and I are tech, gotta love this. Here's the things that I'm doing is I'm a doctoral mentor. In addition to being a college professor, I spend an enormous amount of time and extra time with women to mentor them on the phone. Many of them are thinking of quitting. Many of them are getting out because they don't want to have to do all this stuff with COVID. Many of them are very close to the end. I become their cheerleader. I have spent more time on the phone in hours with crying with women, holding their hand, drying their tears, and letting them know, hey, if someone like me can do it, they can do it. But that's part of sometimes not just leading them, but holding their hand while they're doing it. And I spend a lot of time doing that. That's the support factor that we need no matter where they are in the world. Pick up the phone, call them, and show them that if you've done it, all they have to do is follow in your footsteps. And that's really amazing because we didn't have that for us. So go get them. This group here can do amazing things together. And if you need my help, I'll put my number in the chat. I'll call you to help them.
Similarly, I'm also like an academic, so we have to do that part with the mentoring and coaching. But I do find that when the students leave, they still contact me and I'm still there for them, even though officially I'm not there for them. And I've started to do a lot of reach out with different nonprofits helping girls. Like even this Saturday coming, I'm doing a talk with them about AI and technology because they're trying to help underprivileged girls between 18 and 24 in America. So I'm like coming in at that time to say, hey, look, Mad Me is here. And I do find they respond a lot to my personality and passion and bringing them out and saying, hey, I've done all this. Come on, you could more than do this. Look at me, you know, and I'm on TikTok. So I try to be there where they are as well.
And as we're doing our last bit of chatting, I put into the chat, if you haven't gone to the Female Quotient link to register for the next meeting, each person's link they get is unique to them. So do make sure to do that. If you haven't done that yet, it will instantly give you a link when you go in. You just scroll down to the RSVP and it'll instantly give it to you guys. So for those of you, if you haven't done that yet. So, and I think this is, ladies, for me, it's a passion to see. And I wanted to give you guys just a little note, something I wrote a while ago that I want each of you guys to think about, because sometimes women don't think they deserve a seat at the table. And that's frustrating to me because every woman deserves a seat at the table. So something I wrote a while back was, you're not an accident. Your life is not a mistake. Your birth was not a mishap or an accident. You are meant to be here on this earth. And I truly believe God chose you to be here. Life is about love. The most important lesson you can learn on this earth is learning to love yourself as you are. Learning to love yourself unselfishly is a tough task. It's tough just to love other people, but to accept yourself fully, that you are a wonderful person who deserves to be loved, that seems to be tough for everyone to do. So all of you women in here are wonderful, strong women who are out there breaking barriers every day. But I hope you will take that to other women who are struggling to do that, and that you'll take it to our youth as well. My daughter's in junior high. God, I hate junior high. I don't know if anyone has a junior high daughter, but I do. And one moment she's completely insecure. The next moment she's going to take over the world. But one of the biggest things I want to instill in her is that she has worth, and that whatever she wants to do, she can go after it in any industry or in anything. And I hope that we can continue to push that message to our fellow women as well as our youth, because it's so important to us. And we have a couple minutes left before we switch to the big meeting. Does anyone else have some things that they want to share with us before we switch to that meeting?
I would just like to add something in terms of what we can do. So I recently became aware of a statistic, and this is about VC funding. Now, VC funding is only 2% is going towards women-owned businesses. And so that is something that we can pave the way and encourage more women to actually have the guts to actually go after some VC funding and actually bring that in order to be able to scale their businesses and not be afraid of that. Because I think that is happening where people don't think it's open to them. And actually what I'm going to pave the way is actually we need to encourage more of that and not be afraid of that area. So I think that's really important about that statistic.
I want to say that us as women, we need to bring the extra factor. That's who we are. And sometimes they tell us to minimize, to be less, and we cannot have to be whole. We have to be complete. And that means every little extra thing, every passion that you have, and every skill that you have, you need to bring it to the table to be you and to inspire others to be there, especially your kids that are seeing you, who you are and who they're supposed to be. So just saying that.
I think Ali has a hand up. Ali and Linda has a hand up. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of go back to something that Therese touched on earlier, and I talk about all the time, about, you know, the way that women are viewed in the workplace. Like she said that, you know, she kind of got roasted about what she's wearing, what she's not wearing, and all men have to do is change their tie. And when she said that, it was like, wow, that's so true. All they gotta do is change their tie, and they're professional, right? And we have to do our hair, our makeup, our, you know, whatever we're wearing. And that's just like, I just want to encourage, no matter what a woman's wearing or how they look or whatever, just be encouraging and not judgmental on that, because I feel like there's so much pressure for us, you know, to be everything at home, everything in the workplace. And then on top of that, to have to show up looking a certain way every day. And that's it. Just, just try to, in my mind, just being more encouraging and not so judgmental about that would help a lot.
Yeah. Amen to that, sister. I mean, this is how I look when I wake up in the morning. So, you know, I've put no effort into this morning. No, I'm just kidding.
So I wanted to say that every time that we do these events, and for Julie, thanks to Julie, in terms of years ago, we did the empowerment conferences, and then it just kind of moved up and expanded in your arena. But every time I participate, I always feel so much better, you know, because we all go through our lives. We all have our insecurities. We do these things. We are confronted by these issues that we talk about sometimes, but I always feel empowered and better. And I always say to myself that I'm going to compliment a woman today, you know, whatever it is, however mad somebody looks in a line at a store or whatever, I'm going to say, I really love those shoes or something, because you just never know what someone's feeling. And so thank you to all of you, because I always get so much out of it.
Awesome. Anyone else? We got like probably one more minute, and then we'll log off this and log on to the big one. And once again, that link, you just need to go on and click it. It'll give you a unique link to get into the big meeting.
Martha had a hand up, but it went down.
Waiting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, stand in your power, ladies. This has been an honor to be here with you today. I think we're up to some amazing things, and I loved hearing what everybody else is up to. And just my wholehearted belief is, in order to be successful, you got to get gutsy. You got to stand in our power. We have to use our voice. So go out there and use it. If you don't use your voice at the table, you're wasting the seat.
Yeah, good point. Okay, ladies, so we're going to log off here. And then that unique link you got from the RSVP, that's going to log us on to a really big meeting with women from around the world. So we may not be able to see each other while we're in there, because I don't know how it's going to look. But thank you again for coming. Thank you for those of you who got up at the crack of dawn. You know, thank you. I will send this recording to you guys so you can get all the stuff out of the chat, all the links and everything like that. So, all right, we're going to log off now and log on to the big meeting.
Take care.